Is the cruise control in your Ram 1500 not working? Stay tuned, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to fix it. When it comes to diagnosing the cruise control on your Ram 1500, the very first step you're going to want to do is jump underneath the hood, and we're going to take a look to make sure the fuse for your cruise control is not blown. The fuse box for the Ram 1500 is located here on the right hand side. So what we're going to do is pull up, we'll pop the box off. We're going to look through the list of fuses here for the cruise control. So looking at the fuse box here, we can see that the cruise is listed as 82. So the 82 is in this column right here. So we're going to look, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth one down in this row here, which is this 10 amp one right here. So again, fuse 5 is going to be this 10 amp one here. So we're going to pop it out. And we're going to take a look here at the fuse. So looking at the 10 amp fuse, it is good. So we know we're going to start our testing on the inside now. So now that we've verified the fuse is good for the cruise control, we can start doing some testing using a scan tool. There's various things that we can take a look at to see if there's a cause to the cruise control not working. So we're going to start first though with the switch here, and we're going to take a look and see if we're getting any commands from the switch. If we do have commands, the next thing we'll take a look at is taking the car for a drive, and we're going to check the speed sensors on each of the wheels to see if one of those are causing an issue with the cruise control. Now that we have the scan tool attached, we're going to take a look at some of the live data. So what we're going to look for is the control functions for the cruise control. So we've got the 4 buttons selected. So looking at this data now, when we click the buttons, we should see the release button here change, indicating we've clicked the buttons. So we'll start with the on and off. I have no response. Cancel. I also have no response. The decrease and the increase. So now that we've gone through and verified that we have no response on the actual switch, that's pointing directly to the switch having a problem and it needing to be replaced. If we did show that all 4 of those buttons were working, we'd move to our next step. We'd take a look in the ABS module and we'd go for a drive, monitoring the 4 wheel speed sensors to see if one of those are causing the issue. So now we determined we're going to replace this cruise control switch. The first thing we're going to do is jump outside and disconnect the negative battery. We're going to let the vehicle sit for about 10 minutes after that, just to let out any electrical discharge. And then we'll start removing the airbag. So now that we're ready to start, we're going to use a T20 Torx bit, and we're going to remove the Torx screws underneath the column cover here. So there's 3 Torx bits, one on each side and one underneath of the cover. So once you have all 3 removed, you should be able to pop your cover off here. So now that we've got the top of the cover off, we're ready to release the airbag. So on the top, on the airbag, on the left and the right, and in the bottom, there's going to be a small access port. It's going to be a little bit harder for me to show what I'm doing here, but I'm using a pick tool, and I'm going to get a little mirror to see where I am, and I have to flip up these tabs. Once I remove the airbag, I'll show you what the tabs look like. So I'm going to start with the bottom one first. So using the mirror, I can see the tab in here. I've got the first one off here, so you can see the airbag now moves. We're going to do the one on the top left. So one thing to note, to make the vehicle easier to steer with the battery disconnected, I lifted up the front two wheels off the ground. That's not giving any pressure now against the actual ground. That allows me to spin the wheel freely. So this part here is a bit tricky, so you want to make sure that you do take your time. So I'm on the last clip now. So moving the airbag back and forth and pushing a little bit of pressure will help you release off of the clip so you can get the tool underneath. And just like that, we've got the airbag released. So we're just going to pull it back forward here. I'm going to flip it upside down so I can release the electrical connections. So I now have the two electrical connections disconnected. I'm just going to pop off So now that I have the airbag disconnected, we want to make sure that we're going to put it facing upwards. You don't want to sit it down on top of the front of the airbag. So the clips here, that when you're disconnecting, you're looking to get underneath, is you're looking to get your hook underneath here and push the clip up, and it will disconnect off of the 3 points on the inside of the airbag here. So we're going to set the airbag aside, and we're going to start on removing the actual cover here so we can get the switch out. So we're going to use the T25. There'll be a few mounting screws on the inside here. We're now going to switch over to our star screwdriver. And there's 2 screws on the bottom down here also, under the steering wheel. So now that we've got the 2 Torx and 2 screws removed from the inside of the cover and the 2 screws from the underside of the cover, we're able to pull forward the actual cover now. We're going to want to disconnect this switch first and then this one so we can get over to it. Because it's quite difficult to get my hand in here behind the electrical connection to disconnect the switch, what I'm going to do is release the switch first from the cover using a T10. So now that we've got it here, I can disconnect this switch. So now that we're ready to put the new switch in, I'm just going to actually install the switch back into the faceplate here, and then we're going to reconnect everything. So we're using the OEM Mopar part 5604 6252AE. I'm going to link the description of where I actually got this part from online. So again, it's going to fit here flush. You've got the 3 mounting screws here, which is a T10. Now that we've got the screws reconnected, we're going to connect the harnesses for both switches again here. So we'll start with the screws and then we'll switch over to the other side. So now that we're ready to reconnect everything, you've got your 2 Torx on the top here. You've got 2 screws on the bottom and 2 more screws that come in from underneath that mount this back down here. So we're going to start with the 2 top Torx screws. We're now going to switch over to the 2 bottom screws, the ones that are on the inside of the airbag housing. We're now going to start with the 2 that mount underneath. These ones are a little bit trickier to get to, so you'll want to make sure your steering wheel is lifted up fully. now that we've got the cover remounted, all of our screws in, we're ready to put the airbag back in. So we're going to drop the cover down a little bit more again here. So when you're looking at the airbag, you've got two connectors, a yellow and a black. That's the inside colors here, which will match the connectors. So the full yellow connector, the black and yellow connector. So to make sure that you're putting them in the correct position, we're going to switch back upside down, which lines up the two connectors to where they were originally. And then this top circle here is where the trim connector goes in to hold everything back in place. Our yellow's connected, our black's connected, and we're going to remount this body connection here. I'm going to spin the steering wheel back upright. We're going to line up the connection points here, and we'll apply pressure to the airbag to reconnect it. So our bottom is on, and give it a quick wiggle. Everything is fully reconnected here. We're going to reattach the trim up top. Again, we're going to drop it down as low as it'll go. Line everything back up here. Now that we've removed the old switch, replaced the new switch, got the airbag, the covers, all the screws and Torx bits all put back in, we're going to reconnect the negative battery, and then we're going to test the cruise control. All right, so now that we're ready to reconnect the negative battery, I'm going to move that out of the way. We're going to make sure the negative post is tight. We're going to jump back inside now and test the cruise control. So now that we've reconnected the battery, I just took the vehicle for a ride. The cruise control is functioning normal now. And just like that, we've now replaced the cruise control switch on a Ram 1500. If you found this video useful or you enjoyed this content, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.